on today's episode of Phinside The NFL. The Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa are in the same ballpark in regards to a new deal, and talks are expected to heat up this week. That's all according to Jeremy Fowler. We'll talk about that and go over all of that. Did PFF disrespect our boy Jaylen Waddle with their rankings of wide receivers heading into the offseason? I don't know how it slipped by me, but it hasn't now, and we will talk about that. Plus, we'll talk about Madden 25 and a whole lot more. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jaylen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going to open a touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphins fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. I said I'd be back here for breaking news, but there is some news that came out and I want to cover it. Also, I got some things that I want to tell all y'all. First things first, Patreons and channel members, I will be having an exclusive update coming for all of you tonight. I've heard some things over the last week and a half regarding to his contract, so I'm going to drop all those nuggets first for you guys on the Patreon and for channel members on the community tab. Expect that to come late tonight, maybe early tomorrow morning, but that's where we're looking at. Expect that stuff overnight. Yeah, because I got some news. I got some interesting tidbits to tell all y'all about, that's for sure. So we will talk about all that. Plus, I just want to remind you, we'll be live tomorrow night, all right, 8 o'clock. It'll be myself, Brittany from Sideline T, obviously Jennifer Forbish, and as well, we will also have on my homie Anthony from Fin Sports. You guys, you see him, he's already showing up in the chat. He's come up here sometimes. He's going to be special guest co-host. You know, it's time to give some people in this space who are deserving some opportunities, all right? So we're going to be doing that. So be out on the lookout. That's going to be a good one tomorrow night. Always a good conversation. Hell, I know y'all are just going to tune in for Jennifer Forbush as it is. So I've accepted that reality, and that, you know, shout out to Kevin Williams. Aaron Baccio says, put me on Game Reason. Best football card packs right now that you can get, Optic. The best cards you can get right now are Optic. It's just hard to get retail of it. Mega boxes haven't even come out to Canada yet and are selling out like hotcakes in the US. And up here, because we don't have Target, we have Walmart. Maybe some hobby shops have some, but for the most part, retail Optic is pretty much, it didn't even last a month. That's how quickly it's sold out. If you can find Optic, and the hobby should be coming soon of Optic. So if you can find Optic, that is going to be your best bet. Other than that, obviously Select, obviously Prism. If you didn't know, I hit this silver Prism rookie CJ Stroud, and you know that thing, when I hit it, was worth like $600. So you know, football season's coming around. He has a good sophomore season. That thing's just gonna go cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Because if you're going to get into football cards right now, realize, okay, the class we're still in, right? Because you're gonna have Contenders Optic coming out, and still gonna have other stuff coming out for this year. CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, as well as Will Levis, they're Fanatics exclusive, so they're not signing in any Panini products. The only thing they can sign in is Topps, and apparently Topps is coming out with an unlicensed set. So apparently they're coming out with unlicensed football and unlicensed basketball because Victor Wembanyama is also a Fanatics exclusive, so you can't find his autograph in any Panini product also. Aaron throws another $2. Appreciate that. I knew you'd show up. I knew where you were, brother. Yeah, that rookie hollow is, that's it. Happy Father's Day to everyone. I mean, I'll be live for Father's Day tomorrow. Robert Thomason, shout out to you for coming through. Let's shout out everyone. Taryn, Dad Dean, good afternoon to you and your son. Aladino, Coke Master D, what's going on, gentlemen? How are you doing? Pro Special, what's going on? Stetson O, Hammer, what's up, brother? Tony Fentress, there he is. Anthony Giandoletti, that's who's going to be joining us tomorrow night, so be on the lookout for that. Paulie King 305. If you've heard me, him and Brittany have done a space before. So Andrew Harris, Lemony Crawdad, Ryan AP, Richard McLean, Carlo Alfaro, Philip Morrow. What's going on? Ali the Persian, what's going on? Shout out to the Fins Tailgate. Go show them some love. Daniel Meehan. Who else we got here? The Show. What's going on, brother? Jeff, Johnny Badillo. PL, there's the homie right there. 1017 man, what's up, brother? John West. Who else we got going on here? Obviously Aaron Baccio, shout out to you for showing some love. Grade that mug, that mug's fire, brother. Kevin Williams, obviously, he showed up. He's like, Jennifer Forbush, here he is. Oh man, enjoy. All right, get into it. If you want good sets, if you or your son are into soccer, open up soccer, because you can open up premium sets for much cheaper than you'll be able to open up basketball or football. So soccer is a good, you can get Prism Soccer for real, Prism's going to be like $1,000 for football or basketball. Soccer's like $200 or $300 and you can still hit big cards. So, another one you can hit big too in is F1 if you're into that kind of thing. Dana Bruce, what's going on? Mr. Success, Pendas. Robert Carrillo, Jeff Stoudemire, Ricka Tick Salu. There he is. M Court. Yo, man, you'll always be a legend around these parts, Rick, no matter what. Jeff's here's Tony Rizzi, what's up? Mark Brown, JC Arena. See, I told you, Tony, I'd take care of you. I don't know who sent you packing and benched you, brother, but I took care of you and made sure you're all good. We got almost 200 in the room already. JC says he sells cards for seven years. You need to sell me some freaking optic, especially if those mega boxes, because what didn't make it up here and was one of the hottest football products of the year was not optic, but the normal Don Ross. It was, you guaranteed an auto in every mega, something like that. But autos were flying out of them, and they didn't even make it up to Canada. They didn't even make it up to Canada. Yeah, they are usually, but with Victor Wembanyama and as well as CJ Stroud, there are no autographs. So low numbered parallels are where the money is at. All right, like low numbered Victor Wembanyama parallels are doing easily 10, 20K. And when you start getting into the 101s, you start dealing with you start getting into six figures and stuff. Oh man, Mr. Success, I see your comment and I am not putting that up here. Yeah, I got a couple autos of Waddle. I got a couple autos of Tua. I agree. DM me, JC. I need some Don Ross, or I need some optic. What's up, guys? Saturday. Listen, I said game 3, the Edmonton needed to win that. It's over. Man, you got to give it props to Florida. I thought they would get sucked right into an open ice pond hockey game, and they didn't. They just played to the strengths of their depth and their defensive game. And I'm going to say this too. I would go on record. Listen, Connor McDavid is an amazing hockey player. Sidney Crosby would never let this happen. That's all I know. Sidney Crosby would never, ever, ever let this happen. Ever. Ever. I don't ever want to hear, and this is going out to people that watch me in Canada or watch hockey up there, I don't ever want to hear Connor McDavid's name in the same breath as Sidney Crosby. All right, Sidney Crosby is the greatest player in the post-era lockout, and he's a top 5 player all time. And it's not even close. Gretzky, Lemieux, or Gordie Howe, Sidney Crosby. Top 5 ever. Ever. Sidney Crosby would never let this happen. What is happening in Edmonton? And I don't want to hear the goaltending about Stuart Skinner because we had Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury would let in the worst goals at the most. That's why he ended up, when we went back to back, he ended up, Matt Murray took the pipes. Because you couldn't rely on Marc-Andre Fleury in big moments. So I don't want to hear this. And we still managed to win. We went to back-to-back Stanley Cups before we even had, and we went to 3 Eastern Conference Finals and 2 Stanley Cups before Matt Murray even arrived in the Sidney Crosby era. And with Marc-Andre Fleury, we beat one of the best Western Conference rosters in the post-lockout era. That Red Wings team that the Penguins played in back-to-back years in 08 and 09, they were one of the, they were like the freaking greatest show on if people want to hear it in terms for football fans that are watching right now. Basically, they were like the LA Rams of 99 and 2000. And in 2000, we played the role of the Patriots, so we took them to 7 and we beat them. Sidney Crosby would never let happen what McDavid is letting happen to Edmonton. I'm just saying. And shout out to Bobrovsky, because for once he didn't choke. So shout out to Bobrovsky. For once he didn't choke. He stayed stellar from the beginning to the end. Now on the flip side, same thing. If Edmonton wins tonight, Edmonton basically needs to win the next 2 to even make this a series, and I don't think that happens. I think at best Edmonton wins tonight and then it gets closed out in Florida. That's what it looks like. Edmonton's just, you look at the top goal scorers, their top 5 goal scorers in the regular season. I don't even think they have a goal. I don't even think they have a goal between them. Unbelievable. Terrible, man. Absolutely brutal. So very disappointing. Very disappointing, in terms of their performance. So, hey, it is what it is. Peace out to them. And the Florida Panthers are going to finally have, after coming close last year, after coming close when they beat my Penguins in the Eastern Conference Finals in 1996. People don't remember. The year of the Rat, that all started the playoff run where they beat my Penguins in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, when they had John Van Beesbrook and such. So, looks like they're finally going to do the job. And I'll knock on wood for you so I don't jinx them. I really don't see Edmonton winning 4 straight. Stuart Skinner would need to stand on his absolute head, and Connor McDavid would need to would need to start taking games over here. But him and Leon Draisaitl, again, for football fans, McDavid and Leon Draisaitl would be that's basically the way they've performed is like Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa in the Kansas City Chiefs game. That's how they performed in this series. They're supposed to be your 2 top guys on offense, and they just haven't got it done. And, we're a letdown. So, it is what it is. Absolutely disappointing. Listen, if Florida's going to win, so be it. At least let's see a series out of it. You never want to see sweeps in finals. Never want to see sweeps in finals. Hey, I'm not arguing it. You're not gonna hear me bash it though. It is what it is. I mean, sweeps happen. If anyone knows, it's your boy Reason who knows. All right, sweeps happen. All right, so I mean, you go look at right. You go look at the '92 Stanley Cup Finals, right? The Pittsburgh Penguins swept the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of people do your history. There was a game where not only did we run Ed Belfour, for all you Americans who know hockey, if you remember Ed Belfour, we not only ran Ed Belfour out of the pipes, you know who his backup was? And we lit him up too? Dominic Hasek, the Dominator. So there's a little history for you if for all you hockey fans who remember Dominic Hasek and Ed Belfour. We lit up both of those goalies in that series, all right? So, yeah, Edmonton, they pooped their big boy pants. They crapped their pants 110%. Listen, McDavid was phenomenal up until this series. You see that goal he had last series in the Western Conference Finals? It was disgusting. Where's that guy right now? It's just they're getting shut down. The Panthers are playing pretty sound 200-foot hockey. That's where you're at, right? So, and for people who don't know what I'm talking about, the length of a rink is 200 feet. That's why I say Sidney Crosby's the best 200-foot player of all time. Better than Eisman, better than Sakic. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Disappointing. Both the finals have been disappointing in terms of I want to see some competition. So, anyways, enough of that. Enough hockey talk. Go get it done. Go finish it out. Go do your thing. Yeah, King, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, man, hockey. Well, I know there's a lot of people who are like, even the bandwagon fans are out like crazy in Florida right now. So, I mean, it's just, it's crazy. Like, you see all the bandwagon fans for like the Panthers, but a lot of those people, like, there are a lot more true fans for the Dolphins. It just shows you what the energy would be like if the Dolphins were in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. The energy would be freaking wild in South Beach right now. If it's this good for hockey, when, like, let's be honest, 50% of y'all that are cheering for this, y'all weren't here when Huberdeau was around, et cetera, right? Now, there were another 50% of you that were and have been. I get that. But, how many of you were cheering for this team the day they drafted Aaron Ekblad? You know what I'm saying? So, but then you look at that other 50%, there's a lot of Dolphin fans in there. The energy for the Dolphins right now in South Beach, if they went to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, would be freaking wild right now. I'm telling you. Like, because we know there's a lot more true Heat fans than there are Panther fans. And you see how wild it gets come playoff time for those Heat fans. And you see how wild it gets as they make their runs, because the Heat have made runs lately, right? It would be wild for the Dolphins. It would be unbelievable. Like, you wouldn't even have to go to the Super Bowl. Going down to South Beach and go to a watch party, and I'm sure the energy would be wild. Or, like, there'd probably be a huge watch party at Hard Rock for those people that can't go. It would be wild, right? Like, it would be nuts. So, I mean, man, that's that would be pretty cool if the Dolphins went to the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship. That'd be pretty cool, and I imagine it would be pretty badass down there. So, as a diehard Dolphin fan and a very strong Panthers fan, seeing the Cats ball out makes me want the Dolphins to win even more. And listen, they're putting together the roster, but the Panthers are also a story. It's the same thing that the Penguins did in 08 and 09, right? You lose the first year, and then you come back and look at, how you guys are handling business. We handled business against the Red Wings, and when we got the second shot at the Stanley Cup the year after, that's when I go back to this. There's levels to this ish, like that's why. I'll be honest with you. We go to the AFC Championship. I don't want to see the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I want to see another team that hasn't been to the AFC Championship. I'm being honest with you, because that's a thing that, okay, you get to the AFC Championship, you know, you go against a team that's been there before, knows how to win those games, you know, with a team that's learning how to win, with a head coach that's learning how to win. Because, I mean, from the top to bottom of the roster, there's not a lot of playoff wins on this roster. That's literally just the fact of the matter. Right? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, OBJ. Right? Are we going to count Jody Fortson? Was he really a contributor? Are we going to count him? All right. Terran Armstead. You know? I mean, even Poyer. He's won a few playoff games, but he's never won like the big game or like an AFC championship. Jordan Brooks. You know, he hasn't won a big game. So when you look across the board, Calais Campbell hasn't been able to win the big game. When you look across the board, right? There's a lot of there's levels to this, and there's levels to winning. You got to learn how to win. You know, we heard Joe Burrow talk about it. That's the real thing. That's a real thing. So let's get into this. We got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about Tua. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. We got a lot to talk about with Tua. So, let's hop into it, because there are some interesting things. Again, for patrons and channel members, I will have an update coming for you guys regarding what I've been hearing privately about Tua over the last week and a half, because I've heard quite a bit. All right. So you can't find the clip. The clip is not around, so I had to go with the article format. But right now, Tua Tagovailoa Dolphins in the ballpark on new contract amid talks. The Miami Dolphins are, quote, in the ballpark of an extension for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Miami is committed to doing something, Fowler said Friday on ESPN SportsCenter. So yesterday, he said this. They haven't made a lot of progress as of yet, but I'm told they've been in talks. They're at least in the ballpark. And I wouldn't be surprised if this starts to heat up as early as next week, because the Dolphins know this is a market, and this is the leading passer from last year, played all 17 games, proved he could be durable, so he's earned the coin. Just depends on when Miami is going to put something on it. So there you go. They are in the ballpark. See, this is like a word salad. You got to pick the cucumbers and the tomatoes and the onions and the lettuce out of here, okay? Because let's break this down for a sec. Haven't made a lot of progress, but I'm told they've been in talks and they're at least in the ballpark. What I'll tell you what that means. That means what I've been telling each and every one of you guys. The framework is done. If you're in the ballpark, what does that tell you? Both sides basically know what it's going to take to get done in terms of annual average, etc., etc. Like, the broad details of the situation are pretty much agreed upon. It's the finer details, that's where the difference is right now. And then when he says he wouldn't be surprised if it starts to heat up next week, that's now the Dolphins realizing, hey, Jordan, at the rate these guys are, Jordan Love might get done, and what are they going to pay him? Because I'm telling you right now, we've shown the numbers. We've let y'all know exactly what it is between Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa in terms of the numbers. And they're sitting at the table being like, if this guy's getting paid this, what is Jordan Love going to get paid after everyone was talking about what he did last year? That's exactly what's being discussed. What the heck is this guy going to get? You know? And I've already discussed this ad nauseum. Tua Tagovailoa, I mean, again, here, just to remind you guys, when you look at the numbers here, you know, you take these numbers into account, but also here's the factor. They brought in Calvin Ridley. They brought in Christian Kirk. They brought in Zay Jones for Trevor Lawrence. Does Calvin Ridley look like the same guy that was playing with Matt Ryan? Well, Tua Tagovailoa over here, Tyreek Hill is putting up better numbers with Tua than he did with Patrick Mahomes. And when you look at the weapons, when you go to their 2021 stats, Tua was better in 2021 than Trevor Lawrence was. And that's when Tua was throwing to, he had Jaylen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, and the Jabroni squad. You know, all of you fell in love with Lynn Bowden. All of y'all fell in love with Malcolm Perry. All of y'all loved Mike Gesicki. Some of y'all loved DVP. Some of y'all loved Preston Williams. Tua elevated all those guys. Well, Trevor Lawrence is having problems elevating the play of guys like Calvin Ridley. And it's going to be even more of an indictment on him if Calvin Ridley goes and balls out with Will Levis. Because with what you saw with Hopkins, Levis gave you a little taste of what he could do with a big-time weapon. So, and Pro Special is making it 110% right. Trevor is still living off this Clemson hype and potential. That's the problem. Like, even that contract is structured a little in potential, right? It's $200 million guaranteed, but it's 142 is the signing bonus. So what does that tell you? $58 million of that is either coming on like, okay, you got to be on the roster by July 1st, and then injury stuff, right? So in that sense, if you break down the $142 million over 5 years, and then you tack on the fact they still basically have 2 seasons left, it's like a 7-year deal. Now, I would just say to Tua, okay, here's $276 million, 210 guaranteed, and I'll give you $155 million at the signing bonus. That's exactly what I would do. You're giving more real guaranteed money at signing than Trevor Lawrence. I'm giving you $1 million more on your annual average, so it bumps it up. It's like a tad higher than him. But you still have $55 million. Yeah, you got $210 million guaranteed, but you still got $55 million that you got to get through roster bonuses and staying healthy. That's exactly what I'd do. Now, shout out to Pretty Ricky, because I've told all y'all before about Pretty Ricky, this Twitter account. He broke the Trevor Lawrence news before it happened. About half hour, 40 minutes before Trevor Lawrence broke, he posted a GIF of Tony Khan. Then like 10 minutes after that, he posted something basically saying, hey, you know, here's the deal. He basically, you know, it's happening. And then 20 minutes later is when everything broke. And, you know, listen, the guy's broken a whole ton of stuff before Schefter and everyone has. So, I don't know. And Pretty Ricky also tweeted out something very interesting after, and this is a guy who has a you know, a history of being right. I'm just saying, he does have a history of being right. This guy's been around for listen, I'm not going to go into details, but I've been told privately by someone in the NFL media who Pretty Ricky is. So I actually know who he is, and well, trust me when I tell you, from what I understand, he's legit. And from who I understand he is, he's legit. And what he tweeted out was this: the Tua extension is going to break this app. The takes will be incredible. So, you know, this is a guy, again, who, like I said, go look at his timeline. He broke the Trevor Lawrence news before Schefter, Tom Pelissero, and Rappaport ever does. And it's because when you know who he is, you know how connected he is, why he's connected, etc., etc. So, Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I was pretty much made privy to that when I came back from vacation, literally when I landed from Punta Cana. So I'm not gonna go into details. I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm privy to information that tells me who he is. I know how legit he is. He keeps beating these big insiders. I mean, someone just wrote an article about him and how he keeps beating all these insiders to the news. It's crazy. And he's out here, he's been saying for a minute that he's also said Tua's extension is going to surpass Goff. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So, now, the NFL insiders, they talked about Tua and T-Law and why it makes sense is I played the clip up here. You remember the NFL insiders went live and they told everyone that Tua Tagovailoa their contract talks were further along progress-wise than where Trevor Lawrence was. Remember, I played this like last week or the week before. I played this for you guys, right? And now what's happened? All of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence has surpassed. Right? I mean, things are just weird right now. Weird that the NFL insiders go up here and they tell us that, just a week or two ago, they're telling us, well, Tua's farther along than Trevor Lawrence. I played that freaking clip for you guys. And then now the deal is Trevor's got his deal done. I'm telling you, it continues to be the sticking point of guaranteed money like I've been telling you guys for weeks and weeks and weeks now. That's what the issue, the structure and the guaranteed money. That's where the issue is right now. And I'm going to talk more in depth about this for Patrons and channel members on the next episode of 3 Takes, which is coming for all y'all. Okay? It's coming either tonight or tomorrow morning, like I told all y'all. So if you're a Patreon or a channel member, make sure to be on the lookout. If you are not a Patreon or a channel member, make sure to become one and get access to inside info, all right? So let's play what the NFL insider said. Again, as usual, I've screenshotted the segment and layered the audio over top. That's what I had to do for 2 segments today because the other one's on FS1 and they'll demonetize me. So here's Mike Garofalo and the NFL insiders speaking on the Tua Trevor Lawrence thing. Check this one out.
This is big news because regular viewers of the program will remember we did a segment recently where we said, who's going to get their long-term deal first, Tua or Trevor Lawrence? I went with Tua. Ian went with Trevor Lawrence. Ian's right. I need something to throw. I got a crown. It's not mine. You already breakable. Here, I've got a tie. We don't wear those.
We don't wear those anymore.
All right. But as for Tua, who I just mentioned, they're not there. If the Dolphins were there, if they had a deal on the table that would have matched Joe Burrow, I believe Tua's deal would have been done. But this is now Tua's chance to say, hey, look at our output, the two of us, right? Why don't I deserve to get that at this point? And if the Dolphins are way below that, they've got to come up to get this deal done. Like you said, Judy, this is a rising tide that's going to raise all boats because of how these contracts are getting done. You do it now or you risk doing it later at a bigger number. And Tua, with all those weapons and everything he's got going on in Miami, could just be another year for him if they don't get something done before the season. Another year for him to not only put up big numbers, but also show his durability. We talked about how he's slimming down. Our Cameron Wolf has been talking to you about that story in order to play better, to feel better.
So there you go. Yeah. So there you go. So you heard what he said. They're not quite there yet. And he even mentioned Joe Burrow's money. If they had given him Joe Burrow's money, this would be done already. And then now, what does he say? Exactly what I've been telling all of you. He's going to look at Trevor Lawrence and his money and say, I just showed you the numbers. Those weren't even the last 2 years. Those were career. And I don't want to hear, well, Trevor Lawrence has a playoff win. The man threw 4 interceptions in that game, and Herbert choked it away. And also, like I said last time I brought this up, I thought wins and losses weren't a quarterback stat. It's just... again, What benefit do you get from waiting? The last 2 years, you got off the hook. 2022, we got hurt. 2023, we collapsed at the end of the season. He was in the playoff discussion all the way till like week 17 last year. He was in the MVP discussion all the way till week 17 last year. He was in the MVP discussion in 2022 until he got hurt. What's the next step in that process? That he finishes that run off. And he wins the MVP. And the cap's going to go up again. And then he's going to turn around and say, and then Dak's going to get paid, and Jordan Love's going to get paid, and then we're going to be looking at $65 million. And with the issues we have coming up with the cap, it's not in your best interest to franchise tag him. And if you're willing to franchise tag him, why aren't you willing to just give him a deal? Because you can play with that money on the deal. The franchise tag, you can't play with that money. That's my whole thing. If you're willing to franchise tag him, you should be willing to extend him. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Zonka just told y'all what it takes to win. Name the Super Bowl Brady won with 13 O-line formations and linebackers. Greer needs to get this done. Yeah, it takes a team effort. It takes 53. The holdup is the guaranteed money. So, let's use it in Trevor Lawrence's terms. $200 million guaranteed, but $142 at signing bonus, meaning he's getting the $142 right away. The other $58 is guaranteed if you're on the roster by a certain date, whatever the case may be, right? That's where the holdup is. The real guaranteed money to the guaranteed money and how it's structured. That's what the problem is. So that's what your holdup is. Bromar, send in a $10 super chat and he'll unblock you. I like that. I don't even know what Bromar's Twitter handle is, and he certainly didn't get blocked over a poll on Twitter. You only get blocked if you're disrespectful, or I just think you don't know what you're talking about and you're up here acting like you're talking about and you're arguing with people. Those are really the only two. That's really the only two ways you get blocked. If you're disrespectful, or if you're out here acting like you're smarter than you really are and arguing with people who actually know what the hell they're talking about. That's really like the only way you'll get blocked. So not over a poll. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't even know his Twitter handle. So anyways, with Tua and this Trevor Lawrence thing, like Garofalo said, you're going to look at those numbers and say, if he gets that, why do I get that? And I even brought up the point earlier, and I brought up on the other show, of how much he elevates players around him. And you look at Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence isn't exactly an elevator. You know what I mean? And I don't mean an escalator that goes up. I mean a player elevator. So it is what it is. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We really will. So I got another segment regarding the fallout of Trevor Lawrence. Plaxico Burress was on the Carton show, and he was talking about the impact that this deal has on Tua Tagovailoa and Jordan Love.
If we're going off statistics, and you look at Tua and the season that he had last year, now he's sitting back like, well, if Trevor Lawrence can go get this kind of money, myself and Jordan Love included,
right?
We're better than Trevor Lawrence.
And let me stop you there. Can you guys put that list back up, the first one you had? Because what Plax is saying is important, because you've got Tua, who's never won a playoff game, Jordan Love, who's really had a good 8-game stretch, to be fair, thus far. and take Dak Prescott out of the mix because he's played longer than those guys, and he has a couple playoff wins. We just know his deal is that his regular season does not equate to what he does in the postseason. But if you put the other list back up, here's the difference here, if I may. Jalen Hurts has been to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson's won an MVP award twice. Herbert is a fair comparison because he lost that playoff game to Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, so we can certainly discuss his contract. Jared Goff has been to an NFC Championship game and to a Super Bowl now in his career, and they won the division last year. Joe Burrow speaks for itself, has been to a Super Bowl. So Trevor Lawrence is really in the Justin Herbert category of those guys. Because all the other guys
look at the money.
have either playoff successes and or Super Bowl appearances, right? And that's the differentiator between those guys. Your point is great. If I'm Tua and if I'm Jordan Love, those are the two main guys that we talk about being up next. Yesterday was a great day because the Dolphins and the Packers now have no argument against my requesting that type of dub.
Yeah, that's why I said, a couple of weeks ago, where do you go if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars if you're looking for a franchise quarterback?
Right.
There's nobody out there. So Trevor Lawrence is the best guy that you have for the job because you drafted him the first pick. You're not going to start over and basically rebuild the franchise.
You can't.
But the quarterback market is the next man up, man. And
exactly.
It's
that's
crazy
the problem with the market.
Because you used to have to earn it, so to speak. I'm not saying that he didn't, but be paid the highest
that's the crazy
in NFL
part.
History.
Yeah, and here's the thing that always gets me, and I say this all the time. Good job by his agent, and the Jaguars, I'm sure, thrilled that they've got their franchise quarterback locked up. But I'm always a believer when I try to figure out what side of the negotiating table I'd want to be on. If you offer Trevor Lawrence $35 million a year, would he have really said no to it?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
Yes, because
the
Of course he would have, because of the market. It literally goes back to what Tua said when he was in front of reporters. The market is the market. This is the problem. They kind of, how do I say this? The quarterback market is kind of a market that no matter what, the new guy up is going to reset it. All you got to do is be good. That's literally it. Now, I'm not saying Tua Tagovailoa is just good. I think Tua Tagovailoa is a top 8 to top 10 quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence is like 12 to 15. I think Tua's top 8. If you really want my answer, Tua's top 8. And some Sundays, he's playing like top 3. That's what I believe. That's what we've seen. Really, we've seen top 5, and sometimes he plays like top 3. You know what I mean? So, Barry says it in the words of Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price. It's 110%. And I kept telling all of you, they needed to get this done before Trevor Lawrence, because I told all y'all when the word was trickling out that they were going to pay Trevor Lawrence $50+ million, I said, no, if he's worth $50+ million, what is Tua worth? And then not only did they give him $50+ million, they gave him 55. They're right. The reason why I played that is they're right. The argument is dead. Paying Trevor Lawrence was the worst thing that happened for us. Because the argument is like null and void now. Everyone pretty much agrees across the board that Trevor Lawrence did not deserve to be paid as much as Joe Burrow on an annual average standpoint. That's it. That's just a fact. Now, again, when you break down the money, 142 at signing bonus, 200 million guaranteed, so another 58 that's, still got to be earned by being on the roster, and I guess, certain incentives laced into the contract. But Still, like I said, I'd give Tua $276 million, 5 years, 155 million at signing, 210 guaranteed, and let's start rolling. Because now you got to get this done. The last thing you want is now the Packers to pay around that money for Jordan Love. Because now your argument, it's already in the coffin. Now it's getting kicked into the hole and the dirt's getting piled on. That's just a fact. Now, Chris Perkins came out with an article. Let's look at the flip side. What if Tua and the Dolphins don't agree to a contract extension before training camp? Look at this. What a stud this kid is, huh? Let's address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. What's Tua Tagovailoa's happiness level going to be if he doesn't have a contract extension when the Dolphins opening a training camp up in late July? I'll discuss that too for the patrons and the channel members tonight. What is the Miami Dolphins quarterback participation level going to be in training camp if he doesn't have a new contract? And if Tua has limited participation in training camp, how long would it last? And could it affect the Dolphins offense in the September 8th season opener against Jacksonville? Yes, once again, we're talking about Tua Tagovailoa, his contract extension, and training camp, which begins in 5 or 6 weeks. Those elements could be an early August collision course. On the other hand, Tua and the Dolphins could agree to a contract extension in the next few days, and all of this is moot. Here's how it breaks down. Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence, who was drafted a year after Tua, reportedly agreed to terms Thursday night on a mammoth 5-year, $275 million extension with $200 million guaranteed. This comes off the heels of Jared Goff's 4-year, $212 million extension with a 53 annual average and $170 million guaranteed last month. Tua told us during training camp that he wants his contract extension now. That makes these questions even more relevant as the Dolphins enter that transitional time between. We still have a long time before the opener, and wow, the opener is only a few weeks away. We can answer the first question about Tua fairly easy. He won't be happy if he reports to training camp without an extension. We saw business Tua during training camp. He wasn't happy. He termed it as being antsy. Business Tua spoke from the heart. He was opinionated, strong-minded, and determined. Business Tua properly left the Dolphins longing for the days of Chubby Tua. At least Chubby Tua was happy, so there's that question answered. I mean, why even calling him Chubby Tua? That's ridiculous, Perk. As for what Tua's participation level would be at training camp without a contract extension, I hope it's limited. I hope business Tua rocks the Dolphins' boat. I hope business Tua stands up for himself and makes a bold declarative statement that he should have a contract extension. As a reminder, I think the Dolphins should make Tua play this season on his 5th-year option. It's business, not personal. I think the starting quarterback market is out of control. Starting quarterbacks are way overpaid compared to their results, and the Dolphins need to lead an effort to reset the quarterback market. It's been crystal clear about that. If I was running the Dolphins, I wouldn't give Tua an extension until after this season. I need to see him stay healthy and lead the Dolphins to a playoff victory. I'm dug in on that. At the same time, I'm a player empowerment guy. I've always been that way. Tua has the opportunity to swing a hammer. Tua should swing that hammer hard and be disruptive. Players don't get this opportunity many times in their careers. Tua should make some type of protest statement during training camp, a hold-in. You report as opposed to hold out when you stay at home but have limited participation. Tua didn't participate in 11-11s at minicamp. Something along those lines would be a good protest for training camp. But what's the turning point? If Tua doesn't get a contract extension during training camp, when does business Tua go back to being regular Tua? As a starting quarterback, there's a point where you choose your absence in 11-11s or whatever your protest is hurts the team. The most likely pivotal checkpoint comes in the second week of training camp or right around that time. That's early August, about a month before the September 8th opener against Jacksonville. More importantly, Miami and Atlanta have joint practices for August 6th and 7th in advance of their August 9th preseason opener at Hard Rock. No one expects Tua to play in the preseason game. However, everyone expects Tua to participate in these joint practices. The joint practices are where veterans get the majority of their meaningful training camp work nowadays. If Tua doesn't fully participate, the joint practices against Atlanta are a waste of time for Miami's offense. By the way, no one knows why Tagovailoa's contract extension hasn't happened already. Is there a debate over the total amount? Are they haggling over guaranteed money? Is there a disagreement regarding the numbers or years? Is there a holdup about injury participation clause? We don't know. What we do know is that the situation bothered Tua greatly. He's already taken his objection to the field by not participating in 11-11s during minicamp. If Tua doesn't have a contract extension by training camp, I'd expect him to continue showing his displeasure in some fashion. So here's what confuses me about this article. He wants him to play on his 5th year, but at the same time, Chris Perkins wants him to make a big stink with the Miami Dolphins. Brothers, do some people just want to watch the world burn? And again, this whole, well, let's play on the 5th year. Okay. Well, if you want to franchise tag him after this year, you might as well pay him. Because that will be hard against the cap, that tag. You won't be able to play with it. If you pay him, you will be able to play with that money and move money around and create more cap. So that argument is dumb. And for the same reason Trevor Lawrence got paid. You know why Trevor Lawrence got paid? Because there ain't enough franchise quarterbacks out there that can come around and replace these guys. And Tua just did something Trevor Lawrence has never done. Led the league in passing. Top 5 in every major statistical category. He's even higher in adjusted EPA per play than Trevor Lawrence. And, you got Chris Perkins out here. I don't get this. You want Tua to play on his 5th year, but you still want him to, what, so you have something to write about? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that makes no sense. If you want him to play on his 5th year, then what do you want him to do? You want him to, that article would be penned in the fashion of, I want Tua to play motivated. I want Tua to realize, okay, we need another healthy year out of you. We need a playoff win out of you. And I want Tua to shut me up this year when he does play on his 5th year. And I want him to ball out and get extended next offseason, no matter the cost when it goes up. That's how that article should be penned. If you think he should be playing on his 5th year, then you should be coming from the angle of you want that to motivate him. You want that to light a fire in him. So the Dolphins get their results, and then you would say, and then I'll pay him whatever he wants. If he stays healthy again, leads the league in passing again, and wins a playoff game, then yeah, open the checkbook. That's what you should be saying. But instead it's, I want him to cause a fuss. Out of here with that narrative. Come on. That's a little ridiculous. Let's be honest with ourselves. So, listen, it slipped by me, but it hasn't now. I don't know what triggered me to look at this, but it did. I didn't see this. PFF rank, because we've gone over some of these rankings, right? We've gone over how the edge rankings, we've gone over the corner rankings, how they've given us a ton of props. They basically said we got the best cornerback duo. They basically said we have one of the, best edge duos in the NFL. We had the only 2 running backs in the same room in the top 15. So they said we had the best running back duo as well. But look at how disrespectful they were to Jaylen Waddle. So Justin Jefferson, Minnesota Vikings, right? They got him number 1. That's fine. Tyreek 2, cool. Jamar Chase 3. Okay. CeeDee Lamb 4, AJ Brown 5, Devontae Adams 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown 7, Brandon Ayuk 8, Cooper Kupp 9. Now you'd expect to see Jaylen Waddle, right? Coming in around here. Nope. Debo. So they say they have the best wide receiver duo. Debo and Brandon Ayuk is apparently better than Waddle and Tyreek. News to me. Stephon Diggs at 11, DJ Moore at 12, Puka at 13. So, right, technically the Rams have the best. They're saying Puka and Kupp are better than Tyreek and Waddle. Garrett Wilson comes in at 14. Now they're saying Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs are better because there's Nico at 15. Now they're saying Devontae and AJ Brown are better. They got DeAndre Hopkins better. Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. better than Jaylen Waddle right now. They got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, with Keenan Allen coming out number 2 as a better duo than Tyreek and Waddle. And then, there's Tyreek. There's Jaylen Waddle at 23. In what world? The absolute disrespect to PFF. And they don't even take their own grade seriously. The guy had a 90.7 PFF grade, and that got him 23rd? Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is why I'll tell you it's ridiculous, because I know you've heard me talk about it when we were talking about paying Jaylen Waddle and stuff, all right? Jaylen Waddle has the 10th most receiving yards over the last 2 years. The numbers say Jaylen Waddle's top 10. Jaylen Waddle has the second highest average yards per reception at 16.1. Only George Pickens is better. But Jaylen Waddle has more yards over the last 2 years than Brandon Ayuk, than Devontae Smith, than Jamar Chase, than DJ Moore, than Terry McLaurin, than Garrett Wilson, than Keenan Allen. He has more yards than both Chicago wide receivers who they rank better than Jaylen Waddle over the last 2 years. In what world is Jaylen Waddle the 23rd best receiver in the NFL right now? In what world? And what's crazy is he's done it on less targets than all these guys. Less targets than Devontae Smith, who he has more yards than. Less targets than Jamar Chase, who has more yards than. Less targets than DJ Moore, who has more yards than. Less targets than Terry McLaurin, who has more yards than. Way less targets, almost 100 less targets than Garrett Wilson, who has more yards than. Let me just be the one to tell you that. That is an absolute joke. Shout out to Tony Rizzi. Everything you're saying is why I get my Dolphins news from you. Appreciate you, sir. Tony Rizzi's 10th super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, sir. So, man, what a joke. What a joke. Absolute joke. All right. Final little thing I wanted to get in here. All right. Madden. All right. Top 10 quarterbacks, top 100 quarterbacks in Madden. All right. Top 100 quarterbacks in Madden. All right. And here you go. Shout out to Tua Tagovailoa coming in at number 6. Tua Tagovailoa coming in at number 6. All right. Shout out to Tua Tagovailoa coming in at number 6. Gotta love it. So, Tua Tagovailoa getting a little love here. Tua Tagovailoa getting a little love here. Look at 88 rating. He's right there, almost there at 90. Here it comes. Dak Prescott's a 90. This guy beat Dak Prescott with the playoffs on the line. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? This guy beat him with it all on the line. So, I don't know. He beat him with it all on the line. It was all on the line, and he beat him. So, Tua Tagovailoa, man, we've seen him climbing. And Patrick Mahomes is 99. From what I understand, Tyreek Hill is also in the 99 club. So, listen. Tua Tagovailoa, look at higher than Jalen Hurts. Higher than Justin Herbert. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The Herberts. Guys, do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Appreciate each and every one of you for coming through on this beautiful Saturday. Awesome to see you guys and to do this with all y'all. Listen, I'm going to be live tomorrow with Anthony and the ladies. So make sure you tune in for Dolphins After Dark, okay? Because we're going to be putting it down for all y'all. All right? We're going to be putting it down for all you. So make sure you come through. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Again, I appreciate all of you for coming through. As always, I will see all y'all tomorrow for Father's Day. I'll see y'all in the next one. And as always, fins up all day, every day. Love all y'all. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. I can't wait to close the weekend out with y'all tomorrow night. Peace. Fins up.